Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Point Blank Safety Services. These are armed service guards that are all off-duty police officers. So think about it. If you ever need a security guard for your construction site, for intersection light control, lane closures on the freeways, trade shows, loss prevention, retail and bank security, wouldn't you love to have it protected by a bunch of off-duty trained officers? We all know that these guys are all looking for additional incomes to help them as they go about their career protecting our lives. Well, what a better way than to create a business, create a job that allows them to make money in their off time. So if you ever in need, check out Point Blank Safety Service at pointblanksafety.com.
Countless nights not sleeping, trying to figure out a way. I mean, I felt like I worked at NASA, and Apollo 13 was trying to come back in. I was trying to engineer a way to keep this thing alive.
Guys, this is going to be a great day. Stacked up with two guys, Alec Feiner and Chad Davenport, as they walk us through their journey from the rough transition in the military to developing a print-on-demand print shop that is transforming the way people are doing business. And then stay until the end of it so you can hear back their give-back opportunities they're giving. It's going to be an awesome episode. Enjoy this one. So it should be a killer episode today. I'm bringing in Chad Davenport and Alex Feiner today, so it should be a good episode. Guys, welcome to the show. Thanks for sharing your journey with us. Tell us a little bit of who you guys are, what it is, and how the hell you got here.
I'm Chad Davenport. I spent 8 years in the military. I got medically retired out as a staff sergeant. So where we're at now is we are the 28th original. We have our own apparel company. And we help build and consult other brands all the way into their first sale. And we do fulfillment, print-on-demand fulfillment for those companies. So how we even got into this, we go back into, it was August of 2015 is when I was medically released from the Army. For Alec, it was January 16. So just a few months later. Mind you, back in 2008, when I first came into Fort Hood as my first unit, this is the guy that I met. And from then, our entire military career, we never left the battalion. Once we separated from each other's battery, we ended up back together in headquarters. And then from there, we were just stuck on special missions as is. So we go along, we're doing great things in our career. We run into the unfortunate side that we had some ailments that made us be removed from the military, and we went into our slumps, right? The normal transitional slump of both of us were 6 and 6, staff sergeant in 6 years. At the time I was 26 and you were 27 when we got out. So we were just hard gunners that now didn't have a purpose. Right. And so we were just living in our own muck of misery, of depression, and what are we going to do? And then our egos coming in and being prideful that we're not going to ever work for the man again type mentality, which was actually what we needed. We needed that hard-driven thought inside of us to be like, you can do this. Go find a way to do it, no matter what it is. Go. You said you don't want to work for somebody. Go do it. Go what you're, speak into the future. So I came along and I was doing a little bit of boxing training. One of the trainers was a professional boxer. I worked with him on some personal sessions and then found out he really needed some management side, some sponsorship, marketing side. So I kind of just took on the role. I don't have my own company. I'm just I'm going to try it. Let's do this. So I went around town, grabbing sponsorships for him. I created an athlete resume and sponsorship packages for local, started getting sponsorship for him, and that allowed the promoter at the time to bring his whole establishment from Austin to Harker Heights to allow him to fight for the Texas welterweight state championship.
Nice.
As we were doing that, I started running into trouble of we were running into ticket stuff. At this time, Alec was in his position, and I reached out to him and I was like, look, man, here's an opportunity for us to do something different. Whatever. Let's just go out there and smash this market, see how good we're at. And what was it, about 60 days we had tickets?
Yeah, so we had a pretty short timeline to work on. I'm Alec, by the way. So, like Chad said, I did 10 years, active duty Army. I was a staff sergeant when I was retired. So we worked in sister MOSs. We weren't the same MOS. So a lot of problem solving that we did was done over 3-second radio conversations. So problems that meant life or death for hundreds of thousands of people, because we were in the air defense world. We solved those problems in 3-second conversations. So we have a pretty good working relationship. When the two of us are actually in the same room, we can solve a lot of problems together. What we needed to do was sell tickets to kind of prove our worth to the promoter. And between us and 3 other people, the 2 of us doing most of the heavy lifting, we sold $14,000 in tickets in about 60 days.
Wow.
To a local fight. Right. So, and that was just promoting our fighters. So all of the other fighters, we outsold them, all of them combined, and the promoter we outsold. So
how did you guys sell these tickets? Was it like social media? Was it hustling door to door?
For us, it was be out and about, be ourselves. So we would just inject ourselves like, hey, we're hungry. We'd inject ourselves in a busy bar.
Yeah.
Everyone's grabbing a little quick lunch. Once we got to know a lot of the different bartenders around here and different establishments, different places, when you start those conversations and you walk in and someone goes, hey, what's up, Chad? Or hey, what's up, Alec? You grab a little bit of, that spotlight and importance. So as we would speak, next thing you know, they're like, oh, what do you guys do? And then these people are showing up, or buying tickets from us as direct sales. We were terrible at social media at the time. Still are, in my opinion. But
I think most people are still.
Yeah, very, very few sales really came from social media. If anything, we're probably setting up like, hey, we're going to be in this area. Come talk to us. And then there was a lot of go to where he was when he was training and stuff and pick him up.
Now, did you guys have to sell these tickets because, that was part of the package to get people to come to the event? They put it on you to promote the fighter? Is that what it was?
No, not really. I mean, you have to understand, I guess going a little deeper into the slump that Chad described is probably better to kind of scope things out. So when I got out, I used a good portion of my severance to purchase an RV, and I lived in that thing for a year. And the VA had me so medicated that I was sleeping for about 16 to 18 hours a day, not really doing a whole lot. So he would actually come and check on me, make sure I was alive, because I would just not keep up on anything. Like my cell phone expired, and I was not communicating with the outside world.
And would I have gas?
Yeah, I didn't have gas. I was 20 miles away, but I would never have enough gas to get down here. Stuff like that. So this was basically a movement that I believed in, and so it was like kind of jump starting the engine. You know what I'm saying? So like the same passion that I had for training and mentoring soldiers, I was now taking that and applying it and basically building a following around this one fighter. And it was basically all we had. It was something to do, and it ended up working out really well. So the fight happened. He won the championship, validated a lot of things for us. We realized that we were onto something. So we founded an LLC, Mind Entertainment LLC, which we were going to do other events, fights, any type of event. And we looked and we said, what is the best way to double dip in events? And that's merchandise. So we wanted to work smarter, not harder. So we looked into all the different types of ways that you could make merchandise. And we stumbled upon direct-to-garment printing, which has a steep learning curve, but once you get it, it's one of the easiest ways to make T-shirts, and they're extremely high quality. So we bought our first printer, and we rented a portion of an office suite. So it was a room about this size, a little bit smaller,
10 by
10 by 12 room. The printer was on the floor. The press was on the floor. We were using a Wagner sprayer to pre-treat our shirts and hanging clothesline and using a blow dryer to dry them. So that was 17 months ago.
High-speed low drag right there.
Yeah. So it was, hey, we've got a $30,000 printer, so it needs to pay for itself. So it was basically, we went to war and figured out whatever we need to do. So we started back then building systems, and it became something that was recognizable to us because that's all we did in air defense was develop systems to solve problems. And it was almost like an addiction for us, like, hey, how can we make this faster? How can we do this more efficiently? How can we save money here and still deliver? And so over the last 17 and a half, almost 18 months, now we're getting ready to move into a 3,000 square foot warehouse space, brand new. And it's been a crazy ride. So
yeah, no kidding. So you guys go from almost not having a purpose in life, not knowing what trajectory to go, what path to take down, trying to figure out how do I make this transition from the military world of order and discipline and somebody always telling you what to do to the chaos of civilian life of not knowing which way is up most times, and stumble into this whole business plan, whole business model. Where do you guys think this is all going to take you? I mean, is this the end game for you guys, or is this a means to keep you down a right path?
This is definitely not the end all.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. But I'll tell you that by far it is still giving us true purpose. Besides pushing out apparel, that's cool. Making money is cool, whatever. Really, we're enjoying the value we're giving to our clients or our customers or our partners, whoever that is. That's fulfilling that need to still be that platoon sergeant, that first sergeant that I was accepted as a warrant officer candidate. I didn't get to go to my school date because it was a year out. And during that year is when I was medically separated. So I had a lot more drive in me too, and to prove to other people that the military isn't the best place sometimes if you're looking forward in your future and it doesn't involve the military.
Right.
You know, some people say, well, you'll never make it. You have to have this, and you don't. But coming in at 17 and 18 years old, doing the time we did, being as successful in the time period we did, we kind of harnessed that thought too, like, maybe this is what we do and this is who we're going to be. So getting over into this business and providing value to customers and teaching them more than just, we're not just a regular print shop. A lot of people come in here wanting to start brands. They want to run campaigns. They want quirky shirts. It's not always just, hey, I have a birthday, you know?
Right.
So we'll sit them down and we'll ask, you know, what are you trying to do? What's your real end goal? And a lot of times in the middle of the conversation, they realize that this 50 shirt order is not the best option for them right now. And us saving them from overspending and failing has actually produced them to come back 3 times.
Yeah, we have no problem turning away orders if we don't think it's beneficial for both parties. I mean, it's always going to be good for us because we can make money, but we turn away clients with pretty big followings just because what they need to do in order to get where they want to be doesn't involve us at that specific time.
Can you give me an example? I mean, not necessarily a brand name, but what do you mean?
So yeah, we had a personal trainer who's long distance that wanted to do a bulk order, but it was their first run of shirts and they're trying to get the name out more locally. So it was kind of like just physical sales and not so much, you know, people buying from all around the U.S.
Yeah, no print on demand.
Yeah, so it was going to be extremely expensive for us to get the bulk to him, and his profit margin was going to dive as soon as he ate that cost. So what we told him to do was go local, build a following with the t-shirts, get some capital that you can roll into the next order, and then you can use us. And then once you kind of have the online following with the merchandise going in, turn it into that e-commerce side, and we'll distribute your stuff all around the United States, no problem. So he really appreciated that. He's like, man, a lot of people are out to make a quick buck, but you guys broke it down for me. You explained it to me, and I feel much more comfortable, but I will be back. That's really the feel good for us is, yeah, he's not going to spend his money with us right now, but he knows that he wants to come back because we added value to him without actually giving him something physical.
Well, yeah, it's a Miracle on 34th Street story, right, of sending them to someplace that's going to take care of them better so they remember you when they come back next time.
Right.
Walk me through a couple because anytime you start a business like this, there's a lot of those ups and downs of you're like, oh, this is the greatest decision in the world, and you totally look back and go, that was the stupidest damn thing we could have ever freaking done. Walk me through a couple of those. I know you got them.
Definitely. Yeah, last summer was definitely our big, what did we get ourselves into? So you have to understand, these printers, they're extremely sensitive. They're just like any piece of military equipment. If, we like to...
piece of junk and they fall apart.
Right, so it's like, we like to attribute it to the Patriot radar, right? Like, the Patriot launcher radar works great when it's 75, sunny, and no wind.
Right.
Okay? So, but as soon as the clouds come or there's some rain or gets too hot, everything just fucking falls apart. So anyway, the printers are similar. We have to keep them at a certain humidity. We have to keep them at a certain heat. And this building is really not designed to accommodate a high-tech business like this. I mean, you can see right in here behind me that we've got, glass windows with really no insulation on the whole side of this building. So when it's 110 degrees out here in central Texas, you feel it. And it warms the whole building up and sucks the humidity right out. So it's extremely painful to keep these things up and running, which is why we're so excited to move. But last summer, we had about a week time frame. That's all that it took. That the air conditioner and the other suite that we were in didn't work. And we had one of our first orders of over 200 shirts, and it was for an MMA fighter that we served with. She's still active duty, and so she was my first squad leader. So I was like, hell yeah, we're going to get this done for you. So it was 110 degrees in the office. The printer's on the floor, and Chad and I are in there past midnight working on this thing, trying to keep the printer alive. Well, what ended up happening is we lost 2 print heads, and the print heads are about $1,300 a piece. And the tech support that we were using, they were not very helpful, and we ended up blowing through, I don't know, what would you say, about $600 or $700 worth of ink trying to fix it. Because anytime that you just run ink through the printer, it goes into a waste tank, and that's it. It doesn't get recycled. It doesn't, So we ended up spending about $5,000 of money that we didn't have recovering them. And we were at the point that the manufacturer said, hey, send it back to us. We'll have it for at least 5 weeks. And whatever isn't under warranty, we're going to have to charge you for. So we already knew that the print heads were bad. So we knew that when it went back there, they were going to charge us, however many other print heads weren't serviceable. And we weren't going to be able to make money for 5 weeks, which would have crippled us back then. I mean, it would have absolutely crippled us. So I spent countless nights not sleeping, trying to figure out a way. I mean, I felt like I worked at NASA, and Apollo 13 was trying to come back in. I was trying to engineer a way to keep this thing alive.
Really like that dude with the ducks and the duct tape and the wires.
Yeah, what can we rig together to get something for this thing to work?
And I was the one sitting in the back so frustrated because I'm the numbers. I do the accounting. I do all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking at numbers dropping and stuff, and I'm going. At that point, I got so frustrated. I was like, "Fuck, send it in. I'll find a way. I'll go mow freaking yards. I don't care to find a way to pay these bills until we get it back, and then we start production again." So I was really more the I'm done. The stress. I have had enough. This is stress with the company, including losing out on orders. Some stuff, like it would work for half a day out of nowhere and then just
shit all over itself.
And like, so I was done. And then, you know, Alex back there just tinkering away in his own mind and comes in one day and was like,
I solved it.
Yeah.
I said no.
Okay.
I said we're not sending it back. And the box had arrived a couple days earlier for us to pack it away and ship it back. And I told Chad, we're not sending it back. I've got a way to fix it. It ended up being about $50 for us to fix it. We bought some aquarium hose from PetSmart, some medical syringes, and we bought some, basically it's isopropyl alcohol or however the heck you say it, and window cleaner. And I injected it directly in through the print heads and cleared the
You
clogs.
MacGyvered the shit out of this thing.
Yes, I did.
you should have seen what we continued to do afterwards. We were like, we were just inventing stuff for this. We had solid money.
Yeah,
Running.
if we had money to invest, I actually invented, because right now the system is cartridge fed, and that's where they make a lot of their money as a print company, is that you keep buying the cartridges, you know, just like a regular printer.
Right.
I actually engineered a bottle fed system that the only thing you had to control was the gravity of the bottle. So like you just had to adjust the height depending on how much liquid was still in the bottle. And you would get 1,000 milliliters of a certain color instead of 400 milliliters. So it was like doubling the production without having to stop. So we just didn't have the money to because what we wanted to do was have somebody make valves with some kind of just a simple microchip that read how much pressure was up against it, and then it would adjust how much it was releasing at the same time. So that's expensive. So we kind of nixed that idea, but we came up with another way. So now, at least on the Anajet, which is the older version of the printers that we have, you can ignore a low cartridge setting. So what I did is I take the 1,000 milliliter bottles, medical syringe, I pull it out and refill the bags, and so we can keep production rolling.
We came at a quarter of our cost.
Yeah, so we get.
So now you got this Frankenstein piece of equipment that you brought back to life. You've dropped your cost tremendously because now you're not having to buy sooner, quicker, and you're keeping everything up and running. Is that how you're still doing it today?
For the Anajet, yes. Ricoh got smart when they bought Anajet and said, we're going to take that ability to ignore the low cartridges off. So now you have to buy cartridges, which is fine. We don't mind buying cartridges for that because our real moneymaker is the Anajet because it's able to do so much more production. And we actually, this is a pretty funny story. We actually influenced Ricoh to do some software updates on the Ricoh because we sent them a video of the Anajet MP10 and the Ricoh R6000, which are, you know, technically the same machine, just some better technology supposedly in the Ricoh than it is in the Anajet touchscreen. And we did a race, same job, same exact time, started it, and the Anajet blew the Ricoh away by about 40 seconds. And that doesn't sound like a lot of time, but when you're doing 200 to 300 shirts, 40 seconds is a long time over that amount. So they actually upgraded their system. So now the Ricoh will print a full color print about 60 seconds faster than it used to. So that was a high moment for us. And then I think most recently now we started getting into the consulting side. We took in a couple of young guys that were in Central Texas College through the vocational rehab program. And they have to do a 90-day internship and they were going through graphic design. So we brought them in, basically helped them build legit apparel brands, you know, full LLC, all that good stuff, gave them the ability to have an online presence because they were literally going down to Houston, bulk buying from like a wholesale alley that they have in Houston where if you have a tax ID number, you can just go buy stuff at wholesale. And they were having stuff basically heat pressed on and they were street hustling. So we got them an online presence, talked to them about marketing, all that cool stuff. And we were like, man, this is really fun because for two staff sergeants, it's the same thing as teaching a soldier crew drill, you know, their MOS specialty. So we were like, let's expand on this thing. So we started getting around other influencers. We invested, you know, in the Vet Tribe. We invested in Andrew O'Brien and Amari Broussard and started investing in ourselves and realizing that we have a lot more value than just printing shirts. And it's paid off tenfold. I wish we could go back in time and slap ourselves and say, hey, invest in yourselves, because there's a lot more that you could do for a lot of people that you don't even know. Because if you really think about it, everything we just talked about, that's something else that another person could go through, and they may not find that answer. They may not, so we're basically saving people a lot of headache and a lot of wallet ache by just teaching them the right way to go about branding yourself through apparel.
And what's crazy about that is, a lot of people would have thrown in the towel, right? They would have got stacked up against it. They wouldn't have been able to fulfill the order. They wouldn't have got creative and built this Franken machine. They just would have went the pissed off route and tried to piss all the money away, and a train's going to go by right at the perfect time. They would have said to hell with it. Why didn't you guys? I mean, what was that thing that kept you guys pushing through the shit?
The team. It was the team. Yeah, I think if it had been one of us or the other, we would have quit easily, because there have been plenty of times where one of us or the other has not really felt it, or we felt like we weren't doing enough, and we literally picked each other up by the collar and drug each other through some of the mud. I mean, I can't tell you how many times. I mean, this dude's literally saved my life one time. So you talk about a selfless partnership in business. It doesn't really get any better than this. I haven't met a pair that really do so much for each other personally and through the business. Like, we consider the business a person that would be sitting behind us, and we both take care of that person, individually and as a team.
Right.
So that's really what it is. I mean, I could have easily given up so many times.
A lot of partnerships do. Go ahead, what you got, bud?
I speak for both of us in this one, that there is that. There's the portion of, there's the family, the brotherhood, and I'm not going to leave you in the middle of the battlefield, right? So we're in business now. Like, we just got fucking ambushed. When that printer went down, we got ambushed. Was it time to just be like, come get me, white flag, I'm done? That's not our mentality. If anything, we were going to go down with some bitch.
Yeah.
Outside that, in our personal lives, we both separated. I gained like 40 pounds in 4 months. Alec recently had just gone through a divorce. My wife deployed, so I was basically a single father. I was going to school full time through the online and building this business. There was a lot of stressors. So a lot of people expected us to fail, right? They expected it. And then when we first came off, they were like, wow, you guys went from staff sergeants to, you guys make t-shirts, which sounds silly. It does sound silly, but until you find out this is a multi-billion-dollar industry,
right?
This is the way to go.
Yeah.
So how would you guys, because a lot of people get into partnerships, right? And they have, and a lot of partnerships fail miserably. How would you tell somebody that's partnering up with somebody to, these are the type of things you need to have in a business partnership to be successful? Because a lot of people who listen to my show, are civilians, don't have that military background, don't have that brotherhood that instantly happens, and it doesn't always happen, but it happens a lot of times more often than not. So how do you tell somebody to start up a partnership so it has a better chance to go through the shit and survive?
It's got to be constant communication. I mean, it really does. You can't let something linger in the back of your mind if you're not okay with something, or if you're bothering you about a move that we're making. You have to communicate. Absolutely have to. Are Chad and I guilty of sometimes holding it in? Yeah. I mean, we fight, we argue, but it's usually about 15 minutes of just pure dog fighting, and then we walk away and we're completely fine. And it's something that is so silly when you look back on it. It's like, man, if I had just said something earlier, this wouldn't have been a problem.
Exactly. That was what I was going to come up with. Is it's a relationship. It's a legit relationship. The same thing if you're, your boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, husband, whoever it is, you have to treat it just as such. So be prepared for those who are in a relationship, that when you have a second relationship, it comes with the same, that if you're doing right or wrong, you will feel it from both ends. within that relationship, your partnership, you guys, the one thing I could tell everybody is the numbers have to go away. Like, they have to make sense when you're talking about a business plan and whatnot. But if you get yourself so wrapped on living off these numbers or these projected numbers, like, oh, we probably will do this, and start taking your percentage from it in its infancy, you'll never make it. We do not pay ourselves. We roll it right back into the business. It's an agreement upon ourselves to continue to do that. That's why we went from a 10 by 12 room to this office, which we're in a suite right now, which bounded into, we have 3 more office suites all connected together. That's 1,000 square feet into our 3,000 square foot brand new facility, was purely because we didn't wrap ourselves around living our lives off of these numbers and caring so much about money, but caring about what are we doing? In the end, yes, we will make money, but there's a lot of passion you have to put in there for people to provide an audience into your mission.
Right.
That's how you become successful.
And you have to have a strategy too. You can't rely on the business to be your only source of income when you start it out. It's just like having a baby, you've got to already have everything kind of in place before you start raising it. So you can't just rely on the money, because if things get stressful, like if you have that 1 week period that throws down your whole production for 90 days and you're thinking about quitting, and if that's your only source of income, you're not going to make it. There's going to be a selfish side of you that's going to want to grab up while you can, and you'll end up hurting the business. If you're working a 9 to 5 and you're wanting to try to start something, take a percentage of what you make, even a small percentage, 5%, 10%, whatever you make, and just put it away. Considering that you're paying your business, like I said, I consider it a third person. Pay your business to get off the ground. Just give the little food at a time. And then once it's got enough to kind of start itself and roll money into itself, then just keep doing it that way until you've got so much you don't know what to do with.
Right? You invest, if you have a child and they're talented, you invest in them, right? Because your hope is, hey, they go to school for free, right? And then in the end, maybe they become very successful and they start paying you back. So kind of take that.
Sports, same thing. Either way, it's sports, football, whatever.
Right. So you just treat it like it's a part of your family, and your partnership has to be a relationship that treats the business as a family as a whole, and
right.
Communicate.
You guys sound like, you're a couple of guys that got that, and I hate the word hustle. I just hate that word because it always sounds like you're trying to swindle somebody, but you guys have got that work ethic, that vibe, that kind of just get after it mentality that shit's going to work no matter what. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't have that naturally ingrained in themselves. They're not that, we're just going to figure the fuck out type of people. Did you guys get that from going to the military? Did you have that prior to going in? Or is this something you guys have learned because it's become a necessity for your business?
I can tell you right now that I learned the discipline in the military. That's what comes first. You have to be disciplined because you can't set up a routine or a system or an attitude to get shit done without discipline. That's one mindset. The whole hustle, get it done, whatever you need to get the mission done, that was something I had to learn. Being an entrepreneur is a completely different mindset than anything that I've ever experienced. I may have been able to learn something in the military that would have prepared me for what it takes to be an entrepreneur, but it's literally like everybody says they have that light bulb moment or that light switch moment where it just turns on. It really is a thing. You have to dig deep within yourself and understand what it's really going to take, because it's nobody else's job in the world to believe in you. That's one thing you have to understand, is that no one is being paid to believe in you.
Dude, you should put that on a shirt.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's nobody's job to believe in you. You have to believe in yourself, and you have to believe that you can get it done. That is what entrepreneurship is believing in yourself so much that other people are just that power of attraction. People are just brought to you, and they feel like they're part of the movement. And what you can learn how to acquire them as part of your movement and keep engaged with them, and then don't just worry about the sale right away, but monetize them in a professional way, a way that makes sense, you'll become successful. That's really what it is for me, is I had to understand that I may have served with people for 10 years. I may have, never met this person. Neither of them are going to believe in what I'm doing the same amount. That's what you have to understand. You have to bring them into the fold with your own energy. So,
yeah, if you can tell, I used to hustle before I joined the military. I grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. Being a white kid was rough at times. I learned how to survive in that kind of atmosphere. I'm not proud to say it, but I got good at being in there as a young teen. And I realized by the time I was 18, as I'm hanging out with some of my friends, they're talking about their college homework, and in the back of my head, I'm playing, or in the background, I'm playing the Xbox. And I'm like, what am I doing? What am I doing with myself? And I was not good with school. I graduated with 1.49 GPA.
Nice.
Yes, I jumped into the Army knowing that I needed an outlet. I needed to get away from what I was surrounded by, because it wasn't providing anything good. And so in the discipline side and work ethic behind everything due to the military. But the hustle is still in us both. Like we were saying earlier, there's an internal fuck you that we owe some people. And that may be from our younger years. It may not be relevant at all to that person anymore. Clearly, they've moved on with their lives. But something inside us still wants to get to that peak. Like, we found it. We gave you what you wanted to see, which was what you wanted to hate on us. So here we are, being successful. So until we reach that point of where we want to be, which is that 7-8-figure business, living a good life from where we all grew up, that's the hustle we're going to continue to have. Our direction has changed in our thought. I have a second child on the way. I do not know what it is yet. Alec has 4 kids in his household. So our responsibilities and grind, if you will, is now to provide them with everything that we can based off of our work ethic. And in doing it enjoyably through the way we want to live our life, not so much in the systematic side of the W2 world. That's not where we want to go back to, and we're not going to. So that's what we harness as our hustle.
Yeah.
Don't go back. We hold a lot to our word, and we speak a lot, hold ourselves accountable to our word. Because if somebody called me out on something and they are right, I'm going to turn around and I'm going to immediately make it right for both of us if I failed something. So I continue to kind of challenge myself by saying stuff that I'm going to get done. That I speak into the future, and I hold myself accountable to it.
No, love that. Love that. So where do you think this is all taking you guys? I mean, you guys have gone through one hell of a roller coaster ride. I mean, you've made some good investments, bad investments. You've blown some shit up, and some shit's worked really well. You're doing some mentoring things, which I think is badass. I love the give back aspect of that. Even though I'm sure it's a revenue stream for you guys, I still love it. Where's this all taking you guys? You're getting a new building. You're growing up in the world. What's next?
All right. So, big thing, once we get into the new building, funny that you mentioned giving back, because we're about to shift gears on that. Slogan for the new business is support with a purpose. So we're launching a platform called Vet Merch. And so basically, if anyone's familiar with Printful or Zazzle, it's kind of like print on demand stuff for different brands. Well, we're going to take small veteran, not even small, just veteran-owned brands that want to be on the platform, put them all together. We're building a Facebook community where they can all talk to each other, talk about what's working in their marketing, whatever challenges that they're having, stuff like that. So it's a collective. Now, everybody's hosted on there. The support with a purpose portion comes in because we're inviting veteran-owned nonprofits onto the site also. And each month, a different nonprofit is going to be the featured nonprofit. And regardless of which brand is purchased on the entire website, Vet Merch is going to take a portion of the proceeds and donate to that program.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah, so it's going to be extremely powerful. Number one, because a lot of veteran-owned nonprofits use apparel to extend their outreach, and they're limited in a lot of ways with the other platforms that are around right now. And all of the other print-on-demand platforms don't allow brands to really cross-promote, like Amazon merch, for example. They control all of your customers' information. They do all the marketing themselves. So what we're allowing our brands to do is do their own marketing. Obviously, we're offering the consulting to them to help them learn the tools and the tricks into marketing themselves. And that merch wins because if they're all doing it successfully, a lot of traffic's going to be there, which means that as soon as we bring a new brand in, they're getting instant exposure because there's constantly people on the site. So that's the kind of thing that we want is we want to prepare that soldier, that trainee, for the battlefield they're about to enter. And then we open the doors for them, give them an audience, and let them do their thing. And the nonprofits end up winning in the end. So that's the big move for us. And obviously more of the consulting stuff. So.
How'd you guys come up with that? I mean, that's a really cool way to give back. I mean, I have a nonprofit that we do some similar things with, by donating back to another nonprofit. We go raise funds and awareness and type of thing. But how did you guys come up with this concept to bring everybody together? Was this a late night over a couple of beers? Was it, just through experience, things kept popping up and you're like, here's our next move?
It's all about being different, right? You could be doing the exact same thing as someone in your industry right next to you, but if you do one thing different, you stand out.
Right.
Let's take the veteran market. If those who are listening know the veteran market in apparel, you'll see 9-line apparel, Enlisted 9, Grunt Style. These are major brands in the veteran market that have done very well. Like they're Grunt Style's over 250 million just last year. I don't know where they're at this year specifically. And they all give back in some form. But if we've never seen anybody highlight a nonprofit for that month and say, hey, brand A, B, and C, no matter what you sell, you still get your commission, and please promote that a portion of the sales do go to these nonprofits. Right. So it's an ability for nonprofits to market. Go buy anybody's stuff. You may have our shirt. You may not like our shirts. Go buy a shirt, and we still receive a donation. And that really kind of came from us speaking on what we were going to do different. And we worked specifically with John Valentine, and he's the CEO of Operation Phantom Support, which is local to us here in Killeen outside Fort Hood. And he feeds 800 to 1,000 families a week.
Wow.
Through his food pantry. Those are veterans, those are active duty, those are spouses, and it's $20 donation a month. So these people are donating $20 and walking out with like $600 worth of food throughout the whole month. So he has great support, but we've always tried to provide more support towards them, and so we would do campaigns on T-shirts just to throw a little bit more extra. And we're like, what if we were doing this for everybody? What if we gave the opportunity to others? Because we get so many veteran nonprofits hit us up and they're like, I want you guys to fulfill for us. And we're like, kind of, what's your pain point? Why us? And it comes back, these other platforms are limiting them and crushing their profit margin. Well, these are also, multi-million, billion-dollar platforms. So there's a lot behind it. We're able to provide the same thing they're doing. We're just a lower scale, so we don't have those huge overheads. It allows that profit margin not to be, I think Custom Ink, you do like 25 shirts. Even if you sold, like 400 or 500, you were still like, I don't know how many thousands of dollars that is. You were only really getting like $1,200 back. And we were like, that's absurd. Like that's like a 4% return. And they're, providing all this customer base.
Right. And another big reason that we're going to be different is just like he was saying with all those lifestyle brands, they're all targeted towards a specific audience, the 2A guys and the, firefighter and first responder support. And don't get me wrong, I love that stuff, but I don't want the civilian population to think that that is the creative limit of veterans. So each one of our veteran-owned brands has a completely different flavor from the other. So you never know what kind of design or what kind of stuff you're going to see on there. And these guys are really expressing themselves through their apparel. And that's what we want everybody to understand is that this is one of their outlets.
Yeah, the way they can express their mission.
Right. So that's one thing that we're really excited about is to let that stigma go. Like, I'm just here to kick down doors and club a baby seal. That's not all that we have.
We're not all, we don't all just spit on the ground and click our 9mm together running around uplifting trucks. Like, that's the thing. You run into other veterans and you're like, oh, you're a veteran. Like a lot of, because, you don't have a beard. There's a real stigma out there.
I know. Huge.
And if you're not in, my opinion, if you're not in like Central Texas, you really don't fit in very well. That's what's cool. We are in the middle of Central Texas, and we're taking that kind of stand in our own market to say, ladies and gents, be different.
Right.
We stood in formation together, and we were all the same. We wore the same ranks. We wore the same uniform. We were the same. We don't have to be the same, but we can still be that family for one another, provide the support we need. So I think just providing the movement, that's it. We have a mission to be, our movement is be different. Like we're the 28th original. Texas was the 28th state to join the union. It's very original in its own sense. We embraced it. 28th original. We always tell you stay original. What's different? Be yourself.
So if a nonprofit wanted to get partnered up with you guys to do this program, maybe that they get picked to be the nonprofit for the month, how would they go about that process? Have you guys gotten that far to vetting the process out and all that yet? Or are you still building that?
Oh, well, you can go to 28thoriginal.com and go to contact us. Is there any other links that you have open right now?
Well, no, you can just go to the Facebook page and reach out to us. We do have a vetting process to make sure that it's a right fit for you. We are building the platform currently. We just released a new version of 28thoriginal.com, which is 28thoriginalapparel.com, and we're testing out the platform that we're going to be using for vet merch. But we're going to basically have instant payouts. So like as soon as a customer buys, the money is automatically distributed the way it needs to go. And then the nonprofits basically just owe us a donation receipt after so long. So that's basically what we're doing right now. We're finalizing those systems. We're testing out our own systems. We're having an app built to make people that don't necessarily want to be on the platform but want to have us fulfill for them. We're having that built right now. So the pieces are all made. The puzzle pieces are all made. We're putting them together and making sure that they fit right before we do like a full-scale launch. But we're almost there.
Beautiful. Well, guys, we're getting stacked up against it on time, but I gotta tell you, man, I really appreciate you letting us a sneak peek into y'all's world and y'all's journey and the things you do. Is 28thapparel.com the best way for people to reach out and get in touch with you?
Yeah, so 28thoriginalapparel.com, or you can reach out to us at facebook.com/28thoriginal. Like the page, shoot us a message, and we'll get back to you pretty quick. We're pretty good about responding. So
awesome. And then here's how I like to wrap up my show, and I always get everybody on this one, so just be prepared for that, is if you were going to leave people with a phrase or a thought, something that they could take with them on their journey, especially during those times when they're getting stacked up against it and the shit's coming down, something that would help them carry them through that time to keep pushing through whatever the crap they're going through. What would be that phrase or saying you guys would come up with to say, pull this out of your tool belt and use it?
I like to quote Alec Feiner. It's not anyone's job to believe in you.
Hell yeah. I love it.
So find it within yourself and find that internal flame. A lot of motivational speakers really speak this out. And I do this to myself regularly. What's my why? Why am I doing it? In the end, if your why is not strong enough, you need to find a different why or go to a different avenue of approach. So,
and I would say that what you put in is probably what you deserve. That's another one that I think is a good one to keep in your back pocket. You put the work in, it's going to happen. It may not happen right away. It may not happen in a pretty Bob Ross painting, but it'll happen.
So, get out of your bubble.
Yep.
That's what changed us, getting out of our bubble, our restrictive minds to think like this is the only way and this is the way I want to do it. Well, you know what? It doesn't always work that way.
Dude, that's awesome. Guys, I really appreciate a ton coming on the show. Great job.
Thank you for having us, man. It's been awesome.
Hey guys, seriously, thanks for listening to this badass episode. I love doing these. I love to hear people's stories and journeys, but what I love most is if you can comment, if you share, if you can tell your friends about this podcast, that would mean everything to me.